So this is the regular meeting of the Darien Advisory Committee on Sustainability on November 8th, being held via video conference only. We have a quorum of 4 members of the committee, and we will begin business shortly. I see Christine has gone off video, and we will need her. Actually, we do not need her for the votes.
I'm here.
You're here. Okay. I'm looking at the minutes, which public comment would be first. I do not see anyone from the public that wishes to comment. Is there someone? No, not now. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve, so let's get that done first off. And the first set of minutes, which have been sent to everyone, were for the August meeting. And those attending the meeting were me, Carolyn, Cliff, and Amanda. So Cliff, you and I were the only ones that could vote on the August minutes. I read them and I saw no changes to them.
I also read them and didn't see any problem.
Okay, so
I would move to approve the minutes then.
And I would second that, and the only 2 of us that can vote on August would be the 2 of us. But I think it's important that the minutes get out and we consider them approved. The October minutes were sent, and I was there, Carolyn, Amanda, and Mohan. So we have nobody from that group other than me, so we'll have to postpone a vote on the October minutes. I see no issues with them, but I want to make sure we get any input from the others who are on the call. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is a swap shop update. Now, Dan and I had talked about that didn't necessarily have to happen every month, but it has been on our agenda. Oh, good. We have Amanda coming in. Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
How are you? Amanda, we were about to pass over voting on minutes for last month's meeting. You and I are the only 2 that attended that meeting and could approve the minutes. Have you had a chance to look at the October minutes?
I have perused them. Nothing stood out. Did you make? I didn't make any changes.
I did not either. And so as long as you are here, I would make a motion to approve the October minutes. And the only other person who could vote for that would be Amanda. Second.
Christine, did you revise those minutes?
No, I still need to do that. Oh, no. Where did that go? Yes, but I will do that. I'm trying to do that right now, actually.
So I just don't, in the minutes, I was not at the meeting, but I read the minutes, and it made a comment about Mohan and I having a meeting with from the Public Works Department, his name escapes me, about EVs. And I don't recall being at that meeting, but I do recall commenting directly to Mohan about his slides and his presentation. So I'm not sure that accurately reflected what happened. Maybe it's just my senility as an old geezer here. Maybe I was at a meeting and I don't even remember it, but
I took your name out, Cliff, so it now reads Mohan Gandal, reported on his presentation and meeting with Tony Campanella. Blah, blah, blah.
I believe that at the meeting he did say that you had provided input, Cliff. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That he had written them and you had provided input to him. Okay. Alrighty. With that change made, we have moved to approve the minutes for October. moving to the swap shop up the road, there may not be monthly reports that Dan needs to make, but given that we've kind of gotten back to school, I've seen it very busy at times in the parking lot, but I'm not there every day. Do you have anything to report on the use of the swap shop, the recycling effort?
Yes, it's
or
very
any other matters, Dan?
it's very interesting what has happened in the last couple of years. Prior to COVID, uh, Saturdays were brutal. I mean, we just couldn't handle the traffic, a lot of bottlenecks, and we closed Saturdays, during the COVID period. And now what has happened is people have been used to coming during the week. And it's been very steady, except for around 11 to 1, 11:30 to 1, where we do get quite a bit of people coming in. And Saturdays we can handle Saturdays now. So things are looking pretty well, especially for the parking.
What are the hours right now of the swap?
I'm sorry, what's that, Amanda? I didn't hear that.
What are the hours?
Oh, from Monday to Friday, it's 8:30 to 1, and on Saturday is 8:30 to 12.
Okay.
I just would like to say that I went to the transfer station the other day in really crappy weather, and the volunteers were there, and I was thinking, this is really pretty damn good that these guys are willing to come out and do this, and I want to commend them.
We have our schedule, and the people are wonderful. They're there, and because of it, it's a camaraderie. People like to be there with their friends and to talk to their neighbors. They're retired, and it works. Fred, it works.
Dan, and I realize that volunteers cannot commit to longer hours or longer days. But as a user of the swap shop myself, I often find myself arriving after the swap shop has closed.
Me too. Me too.
And because I'm not apt to be there in the morning. So as we're getting into winter, I would not suggest this, but I do wonder if there is a way the swap shop could be available to people until 2. I'm not saying we have to do this. I'm positing a question. And I also find that on Saturday, again by noon, what I often see going later on Saturday is stuff that's put up by the hopper. My presumption is that people that can't go to the swap shop are just putting the stuff outside the hopper.
Right.
Because it's closed at noon. So I think that the amount that could be recycled as opposed to disposed of might improve with a little longer day. And I know that some people that don't go in the morning just don't go anymore. So I know that's a lot to ask of people, and the answer could be no, and the answer could be, well, I know someone has to be there to close it up, so it's not like the volunteers could leave and the swap shop could just magically close itself. But I do ask the question if those are the right hours.
Well,
would the hours be better to be 9:30 to 1:30, or some other way that got us a little later into the dump hours?
A couple of things. We have to clean up, and it takes about a half hour to clean up.
Yeah.
So we're there between 1 and 1:30. If somebody comes in, we take it. We just don't say you have to leave. We won't do that to, our people here in town. So, and we have a lot of that where people will come in 10 after or 20 after, and even sometimes some of my people are there just talking in general until 1:45 to 2, and they will take it. On Saturdays, I'll talk to the people because you're absolutely right. There's a lot of I've been up there, and people are dumping some really good stuff that we could use. So I'll talk to them that maybe in the summertime we could change the hours on that end. You're absolutely right on that. We should discuss
Say
it.
that as a two for 2024, not a change between now and the holidays. Let's put it.
Because it is a summer months that, the
Yeah.
springs are really brutal. And I think, for the springtime, we should be looking at that.
Yeah. Really, the question is, what are the best hours?
Yes,
And
exactly.
does that mean more hours or different hours? Okay.
Right.
Anything
So
else on
we'll
this topic?
discuss that and get back to you because I think that's a very good ask on that.
Okay. Okay. So that is the swap shop. Let's move on to our focus areas. The first being, and then after the focus areas, any new business ideas, which I did not put here if there's anything else. And like I said, I believe we can get through and get off at 12:45 today. Carolyn reported to me that the food scrap tonnage for the month of October was 4.39 tons, which is a little higher than normally. And that maybe that has a little bit of pumpkin in there. Maybe the fact that we've made some efforts, sold a couple more kits. There are, but it's hard to infer whether that's just an oddity for October. But it was higher than prior months. And what I do not know is how that compares to October last year. I just know it's higher than the August, September, slightly, maybe half a ton. And that was all she had to report. The leaf blower ordinance, which we discussed at the last meeting, has been referred to the RTM for consideration by the Selectman's office. Our committee wasn't involved in the Board of Selectmen meeting, nor have we been invited in by the RTM or ordinance committee, but Carolyn does believe that there would be an interest in anything that we know as they're starting to work on this. And
so, Kathy, did we not give something to the Board of Selectmen on the topic?
They had already gone to their meeting and forwarded it before we prepared the information that I have right here in my hands right now from you and Mohan and me. So Carolyn has agreed, she's not here, to take that material to the RTM committee that is looking at the ordinance and ask if we could have an audience or attend what they're working.
Okay.
And it was on a public Board of Selectmen meeting that none of us were aware the subject was being discussed. And I hadn't gotten it to them as you and Mohan and I were gathering it prior to that meeting happening and the selectmen referring it to the RTM rules, or I think it's the ordinance committee. So It's in the early stages of being looked at by the RTM.
I don't know if that ends that topic, but before you go to the next topic, I'd like to go back.
I do have a little more on that topic. So let's,
Okay.
You go for it.
Well, I wanted to go back to the prior topic about food scraps and in particular the schools. I think I read in the October minutes that maybe somebody was having some more contact with the Board of Ed or something.
I had contact with a member of the Board of Ed who was up for re-election and was obviously re-elected yesterday, who serves on a facilities committee. And I asked him if he would meet with me, and he said he would, but after the election. Since the election was yesterday, that was Dennis Maroney. And I will be reaching out to him now that the election happened to say, can we have that conversation and see if he has any insight as to how we should approach the school department.
And there were two issues. Thank you for bringing this up, Cliff. There were two issues that if we get the ear we wanted to address. One was food scraps. What was the other one? Was it the electric cars?
Yes.
Electric cars.
Yeah.
And Mohan gave me a tiny report on that, which at the end we will get to. Once I speak to Denny, I would hope that if he's interested in pursuing it, I would hand that to others on the committee that would like to be involved. I don't want to do that on my own. I just want to have the conversation with him that he said he was willing to have about food scraps and
Your voice is
recycling
very
material in
muffled.
the buildings. Is that a little
Kathy.
too close to me?
Kathy,
About
your voice is very muffled. You're going to need to fix your speaker. I can't understand a word you're saying.
I'm sorry. I am on
Now I
my.
can
I moved the computer a little closer to me.
It's loud and clear,
My mic is
Kathy.
on.
Now it's
Yeah,
good.
the problem is when you turn your head away from the computer, as if you lower it like this or something, then all of a sudden it becomes muffled.
Okay, thank you. My notes here. Anything else on the food scraps before? Hopefully, I will have an answer from Dennis this week, now that the election happened.
Actually, sorry. We have two really big targets, and the school is one. The other are the haulers. And I mean, I know we talk about it over and over, but we've never really sort of come up with any kind of an approach to deal with this. We are aware that the state may actually preempt us and start to require something out of the haulers because this is such a big problem for the state. But I'm wondering, would it make sense for us to have a little subcommittee or even a committee of one tasked with going to meet with the various haulers who serve Darien and just talk to them about, food scraps or maybe actually they're not even going to be part of it. The food scraps would have to be a separate entity, and there are separate entities. I think curbside pickup might be one of them. But I mean, what more generally, what I'm asking is there anything we can or should be doing to try to get food scraps out of the system for people who use haulers?
I think Carolyn has dealt with some of that. She would be the best one to answer that.
Yeah, I wish you were on the call because between curbside compost and it may be Blue Earth or Blue Organics, I'm not remembering the name, but she has had conversations. I also know that the advocacy from Fairfield County and there's the Housatonic Recovery Area pushing on what will be in legislation for next year. There are things that are happening. So I think you raise a great point. And I will ask Carolyn if she would share what she has kind of on that side of what she knows with the committee directly via email, because she is aware of things that aren't necessarily going to fully answer your question, Cliff, but are in the direction that we could maybe piggyback on. I see it a different way also, which is working in a brand new facility in the town of Darien, where it's brand new, it's just built, it's open at Darien Commons, and from what I can tell, there is really no method or there was no implementation of anything that would either give the businesses, the restaurants, the retailers, or the individual residents an option to separate food waste. And I'm looking into that now that I'm in the building and get to go to the go to the dump room, because to me that's another way that when we're bringing in new big complexes, how can we as a committee or how could the town or planning and zoning or anyone else provide guidance, short of laws, on moving that way. But this is a brand new thought in my mind when I just went into Darien Commons and understood that we didn't build it into a brand new facility.
I think that's a great point. We should be talking to Genovese before it's too late. Make sure that he's got something.
Yeah, he has 40,000 square feet of retail coming in.
Anyone wish to reach out to David and see where his, where on his radar recycling, both, single
I'm willing to
stream
do it.
and food?
I'm willing to do it.
That'd be a great, great call. Maybe he would sit with you and let you know what he knows.
Yep.
Whether it's
Okay.
even on his radar or in the specs to his, builders or his plans. I don't know the answer to that. Thank you. That's a great idea.
Well, thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, so Carolyn's going to have it to do and Cliff has it to do. How's that?
That's good, and I think we should have it on the agenda for next month too.
And my to do is to snoop around Darien Commons and see if facilities managers in our building a lot, because new buildings always have things that still need to be addressed, and I'm going to try to get his attention and ask at some point. So that's my to do. Okay, so going off of the food scraps, thank you, Cliff. The leaf blower ordinance. I mentioned this on another meeting, but I think I can share my screen and would like to show you what Ridgefield's website has for anyone that wants to look at. And in providing through Carolyn to the committee that's looking at leaf blowers, I will suggest that this website be part of what they get along with the papers that we develop as a packet. And if you will allow me to see if I can share the website, share my screen. The website is called Adv Comm. And we don't have to go through the entire website, but I will show you what the tabs are and how they've approached the process. Ridgefield, through residents, petitioned to have a vote of the community to put restrictions on leaf blower usage by time of day and year. And they have built a website that explains quite well how they're going about it and what they're doing. They have an entire section on the whys, health, pollinators, noise, all of those things. They have worked with others in their community to have endorsements for their idea. And so the groups that they're working with, from NGO sustainability through UN, Earth Place, land trusts, quiet yards, Greenwich, all of these kind of places. So they have written sustainable options and references and FAQs. So if anyone is interested, in that website, it is called ridgefieldcomm.org. There was an article in their local paper which explained some of their thinking, and at the end it talked about the other communities which I have pulled the research together on, and everyone's doing it differently. So whether it's Norwalk, who's put an ordinance for 3 years from now with a sunset clause, or whether it's Westport that enacted restrictions by time of day, or Greenwich that was restricting by number of units on the property, everyone is doing it differently. And we can provide this information to the ordinance committee, and if there was anyone who'd like to actively work on that, that would be great once we have the contact set up that Carolyn said she would make for us. Anyone interested in that? I know Mohan has done some work, Cliff, you had. Would you be
I
willing
can
to?
help with that.
Amanda, great. Okay, so that is going to be, Carolyn owes me, I owe her these documents and she was going to owe me the contact. So that is the next step.
Kathy, are you going to make sure that the committee that's looking at this in the RTM has this Ridgefield thing? Because this looks really good.
Yes, yes. And
Okay.
the reason we know this material will get to the committee is I believe Carolyn's husband is on the committee.
Oh, good.
So that's how she knew about it and how we were going to transfer the information to the committee through her. Although I don't think she was really want to take the lead on it, she was willing to get the conversation started.
Good.
So Amanda, we'll put you on the CC on that one, okay?
Okay.
With Carolyn. All right. Anything else on leaf blowers? Nope. Sustainable events, I don't believe there was anything during October or November. I thought the things that Planet New Canaan did to collect pumpkins was really interesting, but at this point, we're just using the pumpkins in our food scraps as opposed to a way that they were collecting and giving them to animals out of the area. They've done a kind of a whole thing and made it be a community event. But I don't think that's in there for us. The EV fleets, Mohan said that he and Tony have continued to work on the presentation he showed us at the last meeting, and Tony is trying to arrange meetings with others in the town government to present the work that they did, but he didn't have any dates to report today. And I thought Tony might be here, but he is not, and I know Ed is not in the office.
You know, Kathy, one thing I've been thinking about is when I renovated my house here on 68, I put in two EV chargers in my garage. And I'm wondering if we can go to P&Z and just explain to them, there's a lot of new buildings going on in town, a lot of renovation. Why don't we make that an option that, make sure you have a charging station in your garage?
That
Yes,
is
as a public,
I mean, that is where a lot of this stuff is going to end up. Is are there like either code things that have to get done, or can planning and zoning, either require or suggest or provide, guidance to people in
exactly,
buildings.
yes.
That,
Yeah. I know a lot of people coming from New York or whatever haven't even thought about it, having
No.
something like that in their home.
There's lots of money out there, which gets back to, again, if we had a bigger committee, or if this kind of gets off the ground through Tony and Mohan, to share the information about what people can do now, because there are a lot of ways that this can be paid for through grant money,
Right.
to get this work done, for no charge or for reasonable costs. And I don't know. We kind of haven't had that connection with the town offices. That would be a goal for 2024, and I believe Mohan believes that's a really important goal in talking to him this week with his report. That engaging the public on this was really important once he and Tony got some meetings going. Are there any other matters that are going on that anyone wishes to bring up as?
I guess I'm curious, in the past, have we done anything special around like Christmas tree dumps or anything now? I'm thinking like the pumpkins, we kind of missed that. Is there anything we want to get ahead of for December, January? Anything that comes?
Does anyone know? So I assume the town will be doing their tree pickups. If we had Ed on the call, DPW picks up trees, brings them to the dump. And I don't know, I'm assuming that's going on. I don't know what, if any, assistance. I know some of the environmental groups ask people to keep their branches and put them around their property, or I know some trees were taken to a riverbed to build a bank last winter, but I don't know that. If you have a great idea, I would love to hear it, but I think the trees are handled by Ed.
And then the other thought for spring is, do we want to, through the swap shop, host a spring clean out and maybe do a community reach through the swap shop and inviting people for 2 weeks to clean out their stuff and bring it to the swap shop, and maybe we have a little extra something. Brings awareness to the swap shop. We've had so many new families move to town that maybe aren't as familiar with it. And also gets.
So you're sort of saying advertise it. Maybe that would be a time for a very short period of time, expand the hours, that say during spring cleanup,
Right. Yeah. Around that time.
cleaning,
Exactly. Yes.
we will extend the hours a little bit. We'll have lemonade or something.
Exactly.
I think that's a fabulous idea. It's really you're talking about advertising or marketing the swap shop for a period of time with a very specific focus.
I like that.
And
Yeah.
coming up with dates for our last meeting of the year to say when that would be and run that by DPW at the next meeting. Maybe Amanda and Dan can just look at a 2024 calendar and
Sure.
see what timing. I don't know whether you want to do that. You probably don't want it to went over school.
Maybe we can get together and figure out what we are looking to do, and then we can set up a calendar for it.
Yeah, and if what I would like to do is run that by Ed or Tony at the next meeting
or something there. Sure.
But if we can ask in December and get it on the calendar, even if the
Right.
details have to get worked out after the first of the year.
Yeah, after
That's a
Christmas,
fabulous
because there's a
idea.
lot of stuff that comes in after Christmas. That's a very good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So Amanda's also mentioning about new people coming to town, and this has come up several times about new people coming to town. Did we not take an initiative to bring to the realtors or some information about everything that goes on at the transfer station?
No, I think Carolyn did.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, I mean, newcomers should receive something about the transfer station, which would include information about the swap shop. I wonder if we need to follow up and make sure that's happening.
I would say that piece, follow up to make sure it's happening. There's also a newcomers group at the YW, and I'm curious if they give some sort of welcome packet with that maybe we could include something. And then I know when I moved to town 13 years ago now, but there was a welcome packet, and in there was a bunch of stuff, and like that would be a good place too. So I love that. I am finding a ton of like young kids moving to town in our neighborhood, and they aren't familiar with the swap shop, so there's something is getting missed there.
Amanda, I agree with you. My neighborhood is very much that way, and everybody is new, and whether they know about the swap shop or even using the transfer station for food scraps or other things.
Yeah.
Mostly they are told when they move in to hire a private hauler.
Right.
And so where the services come in, now I know the tax bill had a flyer in it, and Carolyn again worked that. So we're really missing an important person on our, on the call today to answer that. I have more questions for Carolyn than anything else right now. but the realtors, if anyone has a friend that's a realtor, again, just this is just our, our own sort of back of the envelope research. If you know anyone who's a realtor, any indication on how people learn about this stuff would be interesting.
So I will jump on that. I will reach out to the newcomers and try to find out if they include what they include in their welcome package that we might want them to. And I'll also reach out to a friend who is a realtor and ask her what her thoughts are.
We still do have the money from the NIPS that comes in twice a year that is collected by the liquor stores, goes to the state and comes back to the towns and is for recycling efforts. It's meant for cleanups of glass bottles and, removal of waste and trash. But in general, the work of this committee would fall under that. And to my knowledge, the last time I talked to our financial people, that money had not been spent. It is identified. So while we have no budget, we may have access to funds if we needed to recommend to create something specific, either for a swap shop celebration in the spring or for packets to leave in realtors' offices or whatever it might be. Again, I can't speak for how much funds and what the appropriation process is, but that's what that NIP money was for, was to reduce waste. I will take the to-do to find out what the cash balance is in that account as of now. And they get the money twice a year, maybe April and October. So now's probably a good time to ask. I will ask how much money is in that fund. All right.
Great.
All right. Is there any other new business or ideas to discuss? If not, I am going to adjourn this meeting early. As Amanda, I had said, I have to be at work at 1:00 now that I have a job, a real job.
Those darn jobs.
Those darn jobs.
It's getting away.
With the time clock. I actually have to check in. I have to clock in. So
I think we did well, and I move to adjourn.
Second.
Yes. Third.
Second.
the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks. See you next time. See you in December.
Okay, thanks very much. Stay well, everyone.
You too.
Bye-bye.